Since it's fall, in this time of the year, we need to dig up tender bulbs that won't survive the Minnesota winters. These flowers example of these flowers would be gladiolas, cannas, callas, dahlias. Each of these bulbs need to be dug up and prepared properly for winter storage. The University of Minnesota has a wonderful facts sheet called Storing Tender Bulbs and Bulb-like Structures. They tell you how to dig the bulbs, how to care for them, how to get ready for winter storage, and they also break down each flower. Like a calla might be treated differently than a dahlia, and a dahlia treated differently than a gladiola. So if you have some bulbs that need to be dug in the fall, check on this website because you'll get a lot of really good information off that fact sheet. Today I'm going to talk about dahlia bulbs. That's the kind of tender bulb that I grow in my garden. Dahlia bulbs are a tuberous root. They grow long and skinny under the ground, or sometimes short and fat, depending on. These bulbs here are from dahlias that are about 3 feet tall. So of course they are a bigger bulb. If you have smaller dahlias, they will be considerably smaller to dig up. After it freezes in the fall and the foliage is starting to die back, that is the time of the year to dig your dahlia roots up. This here one I dug with all these I dug with a potato fork, and you can see that being a 3 foot tall plant, it has a lot of bulbs roots underneath it. It probably doubled in size during the growing period, and so when you start to dig these out, you'll want to stay back several inches, maybe even up to 6 inches away from the center, the stalks of the plant, to make sure that you don't damage the roots and or cut them. Any of these areas that might get damaged is a good spot for diseases to get in and cause problems. After you dig them out of the garden, I shook off a lot of the dirt, but of course there's always these little cracks and crevices. So you take your tuber and put it in a tub or something, and then wash it gently with a spray hose to get all that soil out from in between the root system. Okay, I washed most of the soil off on this one. I'm going to let it soak a little bit. These I washed off earlier, and they're all ready to be cured. Now, there's a couple spots that I found in this one that had some soft material, so I broke that out. And this one here looks real good. They're firm, they're solid. And this one broke off from one of my on that plant there, and so I'm not sure if this is going to be a good one next spring, but we'll pack it away and watch it. In the springtime, if it gets soft or something over winter, then we'll discard it at that time. So now, after we get them washed, we leave them set out of the sun and out of the wind for 1 to 3 days. It's called curing. And during that period of time, if there's any additional soft spots or roots that have spongy-like, you'll want to take them off and discard them as well. So after your 3 days, 1 to 3 days are up, you pack them in either vermiculite or peat moss. I use peat moss because I have peat moss available, and I use it in other areas of my gardening, so that's why I use that. You place it in there and on a layer of peat moss. Usually I use a paper bag because it's not sealed tight. Plastic would seal it tight and it could start molding or something inside. I'm using the box here, and you could use a box if you cover it with newspaper or paper bag or something, just so that you can easily see it rather than in a bag. So you place these in your peat moss and then cover it with peat moss. You can get quite a few in there, and set it in your basement in a cooler spot till springtime. Although these are still they're still alive even though they're down in your basement, you should check them periodically to make sure that something hasn't started to rot or get soft. And if you do discover some soft areas or something that's rotting away, you should take a sharp knife and cut back on the tube to where you come to white, solid flesh of the root and discard the soft part. So if this end was getting soft and molding, you might want to, or rotting, you might want to take your knife and cut way up here until you get to that firm white flesh of the root. So if the winter's over with and it's springtime, we can take your bulbs out, and by that time you might have some buds starting to form. You should have some buds starting to form, or tell where the eye of the plant of the bulb is. And where that eye and where that bud is forming, you need those to be on your root when you plant it. So if there's some buds forming around this top area or around up in this area, you can break these in half and get a couple different plants out of them. Or if it doesn't look real good, just plant it all and you'll get a plant growing from there with maybe more stalks coming up. If you break them in half, you'll have a lot more plants. You can share them with your friends and neighbors, and everybody can enjoy the colorful dahlias during the summer. Thank you for joining the Master Gardener show called The Rambling Rose.